Hey YouTube, this is Matthew Morgan. How y'all doing today? And I just want to speak a little bit on history as far as the truth of the matter, not the lies for money or fame go. Nah, I'm just gonna warn you, this video is a little graphic, but it is real. But the one thing I'm gonna say is I don't stand for racism, I don't stand for hate, and I don't stand for separation. So when you hear this video, it's not a hate that white person, hate that black person, hate that person because of it. No. All this simply is a video just saying this is what really happened, not to hate anybody. Because that's something that people down through time never said to you. This is the truth of what happened. I just don't want you hating these people because they were misled like the people before them were misled. Everybody was misled or taught wrong or corrupted by somebody. So hating people ain't gonna solve nothing, man. Love your neighbor, your fellow man, your brother, sister, whether they're white, black, gay, straight, rich, poor, I don't give a shit. Learn to love the human that's next to you. Because you don't know what they're going through or why. Even if you do love them, if you're not going to love them, just please don't criticize them. Because they'll be way better off if you just don't say nothing to them. And if you know you have a judgmental spirit, just don't say nothing. Pray for their uprising and their uplifting in the dark, or help them in the light with nobody around. Okay, so anywho, just so people understand history, in Egypt, there was slavery, means blacks enslaved blacks. In Egypt, there was royalty and poverty. In Egypt, you had blacks putting blacks in the fields to make the mud and whatnot to make the pyramids. The royalty would sit up in their, big-ass kingdoms getting fanned and fed grapes and stuff like that, watching the other black people in the courtyards work hard as hell in the hot-ass sun, getting whipped if they made a mistake. Africa, there was that thing with one man having multiple wives that they didn't really treat all that well. But Africa still had royalty and poverty as well. Don't get that shit twisted. Africa was still pretty messed up as well. Rome, same thing. There was highly privileged, rich white people. Poverty there. Everywhere in this world it has rich, middle class, and poverty. I guess you could say homeless too. So it's not just black people. Everyone goes through that rich poverty, slavery, stricken stuff. Mexicans, Latinos, Asians, Jews, Muslims, everybody does. Black, white, gay, straight, rich, poor, everyone's a slave to something or somebody, or millionaire is looked at than less than a billionaire. Ferrari is looked at higher than a Prius. There's a whole bunch of human separated BS. Anyway, so coming to America, first of all, it was a Native American reservation, probably something way before that point. White people came over here, tried to force, Christianity and slavery on Native Americans. They said fuck that, or at least the ones who fought back. Apparently there were certain ones that actually did get involved, and then there was Native Americans that owned slaves. Was not aware of that till just recently. White people found this thing called cotton, apparently. They found out it could be picked and make money. They realized they didn't have the skin to withstand the heat to pick it, so they went to several different races to find out what race would not rebel against them, and every race did except, as you know, Negroes. So there's a reason they went down around to different countries and areas to find a race to pick the cotton, because they were trying to find big, strong, durable humans that could lift heavy bags and not complain about it. So I guess I was told it was Mexicans. Was it Jewish? No. Mexicans. Fuck. I know it was Mexicans. I think Jew. It was a bunch of different races. I can't remember them all specifically. But I know the wheel stopped on black people. White man came to Africa, seen our structure, tall, muscular, we could withstand heat, all that shit. So they decided to let's go back to America, find a way to capture these Negroes and, all that stuff. So they came, forced their ancestors on them boats, guns to the head, I'll blow your head off if you don't come. Our own didn't even stop it from occurring, they allowed it, and white people bought us from our own people. They didn't say, oh, no, we're not giving our up. We're not giving our own up. Nope, we're not doing it. We're going to fight for them. They didn't even do that. They just let us go and said, fuck it, take them. Just want to mention now Africa hates black Americans because they feel like we're lazy and we pretty much embarrassed them, I guess. Something like that. So when we got here, they took our name, our religion, anywhere we came from, cut our hair, took our language, all that stuff. And not to mention our African ancestors didn't come back for us, period. That's why I say racism's kind of redundant to me, because, both sides fucked up. White people fucked up, the economy fucked up, lost their slaves. Black people fucked up, their economy fucked up, lost theirs. So I'm just saying. But anywho, long story short, slave master put the slaves on the field, picked the cotton, then you had the house slaves. They divided them up by skin color. Lighter slaves stay in the house because they had more value. They were close to the slave master's image, so they treated them better, but they were still niggers in the slave master's eye. They just made the nigger slaves who were light-skinned stay in a big house to make them feel like they were higher than the field niggas who were darker and scarred up but strong and can do more work. So every time the slave would get out of line, slave master would lynch him, kill him, sell him, stuff like that. But down through town, the slave master started realizing that he's losing profits because he can't get as much cotton picked to sell to the merchants to pay off his, plantation and all that. So then they heard of like they were trying to find a way to not kill slaves or sell them to make a point that the slave masters were the owners of the slaves. So slave masters found out there was a guy named Willie Lynch. I had this theory called the Lynch theory. He taught it to the slave masters, and what the Lynch theory actually is, instead of selling your niggas or killing them, just turn them against each other. In other words, you got two field niggas. The plan is convince one field nigga to hate the other field nigga, put them both against each other, and have them fight each other, or better yet, kill each other. Tell one field nigga, aren't you tired of me always having to whip you and beat you when the other ones don't want to do what I tell them, like that one over there in the field? He's the reason I have to beat you or keep you out here longer picking cotton because he's slacking. So, here's the thing. Are you tired of me beating you? Yeah. Are you tired of being out here past 12 at night? Yeah. Well, if that slave wasn't acting a damn fool, I could let you go in your shack a lot earlier. Oh, really? Uh-huh. But every time he fucks up, I gotta beat all y'all. I can't have favoritism. So do you get tired of me beating your ass? Yeah. Then when he fucks up, you put him in line. Oh, yeah, all right. That's how that works. So every time the field slave fucked up, one field slave went to get another one, and they was fighting. Kind of keep each other in line so the slave master didn't have to do as much work. Sad but true. Sad but true. Then he put the woman slave against the man by taking her into the big house, raping her, and convincing her that if her husband loved her, he would have saved her. And that's how that's happened. The white slave owner went into the little shack he put the slaves in, and he took the slave's wife in front of him. The slave husband tried to save his wife. Slave master said, "You do anything, I'm going to sell you or I'm going to kill you." So, slave master took the slave's wife to the big house, raped her. He had to hear his wife up there screaming for him to help her, but he couldn't. So, after the slave master finished raping the woman, gave him that evil "I hate you, cracker ass weirdo" look. After so many times of doing this, he finally convinced her, like, "Look, I know you don't like me. That's obvious. I don't like you. That's even more obvious. But if your man truly cared about you, then why is it he allowed me to rape you? Why is it he keeps allowing me to rape you? If he really loved you, he wouldn't be allowing me to do this." So, and he's like, here's an even deeper thought to go off of. I feed you. I clothe you. I give you a shelter. Yeah, I might rape you, but at least I give you something to keep you warm. I feed you. I take care of you. He's supposed to be your man. He don't even do nothing for you. She's like, "Yeah, good point." And after which, he convinced the black woman her man ain't shit. Her man can't do nothing for her. So what she started doing, getting closer to the slave master because he's the one with power. Yeah, he raped her, but at least he gave her a roof over her head, clothes on her back, and food to eat. That's the way it worked. Convinced the lighter house Negro that he's higher than the the darker field Negro. Fed him better, treated him better, and dressed him up better. Boom. Field nigga against house nigga. Then you got the wife against the husband. Field nigga against field nigga. Ain't that crazy? Then you got what's called a mandingo. A lot of people think that's a sexual term. No, mandingo means a strong black masculine dude who beats other Negroes' asses for special treatment to entertain white people, basically. That's crazy. And then you make money off of your mandingo slaves by sending them around to beat up other slaves and shit like that. Just how it worked. Sad but true. Sad but true. Basically, the curse black people fall under is called the Willie Lynch theory. Instead of selling and killing your slaves, you turn them against each other. Put one in a high position, put one in a low position. Make the house nigga feel better than a field nigga. Make a woman slave. Make a woman slave think her man don't care. Turn her against him. Find a way to turn the two field slaves against each other. Have every black person turn against each other. That way, the slave master ain't really got to do shit. Sad, but true. Then if they couldn't, handle the slaves through controlling them using each other. And then you got the Uncle Tom House Negro who was a slave the slave master saw the other slaves look up to, or like a pastor basically. Dressed him nice, gave him special treatment, and told him, "Since I know these slaves don't like me, I need you to control them because they admire you. You do that, I'll give you special treatment. I'll give you special privileges." So he did that, got it. Slaves listened to him and did what he was told because he's like, they don't want to listen to someone whose image looks different. So let me put someone in charge of them whose image looks exactly the same. Maybe they'll listen to that person, which worked every time. Then the whole interracial thing with the slave master's daughter lusting over the slaves and babies coming out of that, or the slave master raping the black woman, which you had babies that were both free and slave, had babies coming out of that. Just saying. And if that didn't, like the whole Willie Lynch theory didn't work, then you had religion. That's the biggest thing they use, saying You're supposed to honor your slave master like God, for I take care of you. I put shelter over your head, all this other stuff. You honor me like you honor God and some shit like that. And if you don't, you'll go to hell or something like that. That's where the pastors in slavery came in. The pastors of slavery were used to enforce the commandments and the Bible and religion over the slaves who, didn't want to adhere to it. Stuff like that. So, yeah. Then they started building churches for the slaves to go to. Then the slaves would serve the white people in church, stuff like that. Had the niggas wearing gloves so they wouldn't steal money nor contaminate it. And then I just recently learned Black Friday came from the slave history of selling niggas on it, to other slave owners at a cheaper price or some shit of that nature. Just like the 4th of July is when America got its independence, but slavery was still going on. But yeah. So anyway, I'm outie. Oh yeah, not to mention how slaves got burnt in oil, lynched, raped by the slave master in front of the other slaves. Whew, a lot of dirty, nasty shit went down in slavery. And oh yeah, not to mention there were slaves that jumped off the boats because they didn't want to be slaves. Slaves that were sold in triangular trades with other stuff too. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm out.